The metal floor groaned under their feet. Sarah held her breath as she moved slowly through the old tunnel. Her silver skin glowing faintly in the dark, Luma followed close behind, her eyes scanning the shadows with fear. The place was cold and dead, the walls covered in rust and broken wires. Once, long ago, this might have been a human facility. But now, it was just a grave of machines and silence. "We shouldn't be here," Luma whispered, her voice shaking. "I know," Sarah replied, "but the signal came from here. We have to find it." They walked further in, their steps light and quiet. Every little noise echoed through the tunnel like a warning. The air smelled like oil and dust, and something else, something old and rotten. Sarah paused at a broken doorway. Her fingers hovered over a panel, but it sparked and died. "It's dead," she said. Just like everything else on this planet, but just as they stepped forward, snap. Sharp metal jaws closed around their legs. A rusted trap hidden under dust and wires had sprung to life. Luma screamed in pain, falling to the floor. Sarah tried to help her, but another trap caught her ankle. The sharp metal dug into her skin. Glowing blood spilled on the floor. "Don't move," Sarah cried. "It's pressure locked. If you struggle, it gets tighter." Luma whimpered, her breathing fast. "I can't feel my foot." They were stuck, helpless. Trapped like animals. For a moment, there was only silence, the cold sound of wind passing through broken vents, the slow drip of water somewhere far away. Then Sarah looked at her friend, her voice soft. "This is it," she said. "We're not getting out. They'll find us here." Luma reached out and took her hand. Her fingers were cold but strong. "I'm sorry," she said. "At least we're together." They leaned against each other, eyes closed, waiting for the end. But then, footsteps, slow, heavy footsteps, echoed through the tunnel. Someone was coming. Both women froze, afraid to breathe. Was it one of the hunters? Another alien? Or something worse? The footsteps stopped just outside the doorway. A tall figure appeared in the shadows, wearing dark armor, covered in dust. A human. He stood there in silence, looking at them. His face was hidden by a mask, red. Lights blinking on his helmet. Neither Sarah nor Luma spoke. They didn't move, trapped and afraid. The man stepped closer. His voice was low, calm. "You're not supposed to be here," he said. Sarah narrowed her eyes. "Neither are you." The man tilted his head slightly, as if studying them. Then he pulled out a tool from his belt and knelt beside Luma. Without a word, he began working on the trap. The old metal creaked. As he pried it open, his hands moved fast, like he had done this before. The trap snapped open and Luma gasped. Free, but then he stood and looked at Sarah. "I'm only unlocking one," he said. "For now." "Why?" Tara asked. "Why not?" "Both." He didn't answer. He just turned away and walked back toward the doorway. Luma grabbed his arm. "Wait, who are you?" The man paused. His voice was soft, but serious. "Call me Ash," he said. "And if you want to live, follow me." He disappeared. Into the darkness, his footsteps fading, Luma looked at Sarah, torn between fear and hope. Should we trust him? Sarah looked at her bleeding leg, at the broken trap, at the path ahead. "We don't have a choice," she said. Luma helped her up. They limped after the man deeper into the rusted ruins. Behind them, something moved. A camera lens turned, quietly watching. A screen lit up in another room far away, showing two alien women and a human, and somewhere in the silence, another machine powered up. Something had been waiting, something that knew they were here. The tunnel felt colder now. Luma moved carefully, helping Sarah walk. Her eyes searched the shadows ahead, looking for the man called Ash. But he was fast, silent, like a ghost in the dark. Why would a human be here? Luma whispered. Sarah winced with pain, her leg still bleeding. Maybe he's a scavenger. Maybe worse, They followed faint boot marks in the dust, old wires hanging from the ceiling like dead vines. A dull light appeared ahead, flickering like a dying star. Ash stood beneath it, waiting. His back was turned to them. One hand resting on a wall covered with strange marks. When he spoke, his voice was quiet, almost like he was talking to the wall, not to them. You stepped in a military trap. He said, designed during the final uprising. It was never meant to be removed. Not alive? Sarah narrowed her eyes. Why did you save us then? Ash turned to face them. His helmet clicked open with a hiss, revealing a pale, tired face, one green eye. One artificial, glowing softly. Maybe I wanted answers, he said. Maybe I didn't want to watch two people bleed to death for no reason. He walked past them and waved for them to follow. Come on, this place is full of old death. They followed him through a narrow tunnel. Deeper into the facility, Luma whispered to Sarah. Something is wrong with him. He doesn't talk like the other humans we studied. Sarah nodded. He's different. Broken, maybe. After a few minutes, they reached a rusted door. Ash placed his hand on a scanner, and to their surprise, the system still worked. The door opened with a loud creak, revealing a hidden chamber. Inside was a mix of old human tech screens, data pads, broken weapons, and newer parts. As if someone had been trying to rebuild something. This is my hideout, Ash said, sitting down on a broken crate. No one comes here anymore. Luma stepped forward, touching one of the glowing screens. This signal, she said. It's alien tech. Ash nodded slowly. Yeah, I've been trying to trace it for months. Then it stopped. 2 days ago, it turned back on. That's when I found you. Sarah leaned on the wall, weak but alert. We didn't send a signal. Someone did. Ash replied. From your kind? There was a moment of silence. The air thick with unspoken thoughts. Then Ash looked directly at Sarah. You're not soldiers. He said, you're scouts, spies maybe. Luma stepped between them. We're not spies, we're survivors. We came for answers. Ash didn't react. He just looked at an old map pinned to the wall. You're not the first aliens I've met, he said. But most don't walk away. The words hung in the air like a warning. Suddenly, the lights flickered. A soft alarm beeped from one of the old screens. Ash stood quickly, typing commands into a console. Motion detected, Sector 3, he said, his tone serious. Is it the hunters? Sarah asked. No, Ash said. Worse, it's Unit 27. The name meant nothing to them. But the fear in Ash's voice was real. What is Unit 27? Luma asked. Ash looked at her, then at Sarah. It's a machine, one of the last war-programmed. Hunters, it doesn't care about sides. If it sees life, it eliminates it. Luma stepped back. Then we need to leave. Ash shook his head. We can't. The outer exits are sealed. We have to go deeper, below. He grabbed a flashlight and opened a hatch in the floor. The metal ladder inside went down into complete darkness. Follow me if you want to live, he said again. Sarah looked down the hole, then back at the room. How long have you been down here, Ash? He paused, a strange look in his eye, long enough to forget how the sky smells. He replied. One by one, they climbed down, the hatch closing above them, sealing them in the dark. The silence was heavy, but under it, something was moving, somewhere. Above them, Unit 27 activated. Its sensors blinked red, scanning the footprints, analyzing the blood. And then, it began to move. Slow, cold, unstoppable. The ladder seemed endless. Each step down took them deeper into the cold belly of the earth. The walls were damp, the air filled with dust and old metal smells. Luma's hand shook as she gripped the rung. Below her, Ash moved without fear, like he knew this place too well. Above them, Sarah climbed slowly, her leg aching. We shouldn't go deeper. Sarah whispered, something down there is. Watching Ash's voice echoed upward. quiet but firm. If we stay above, we die. If we go down, we have a chance. The moment they touched the ground, everything changed. A huge underground room opened before them, machines rested against. The walls like sleeping giants, wires hung from the ceiling, forming webs of silence. But one thing stood out. In the middle of the room was a tall device, black and silver still glowing. It hummed softly, almost like it was breathing. Sarah limped toward it, drawn by something she couldn't explain. "This is alien," she said. "But it's old, very old." Ash nodded. "I found it years ago. It was dead back then. Now it's awake again, same time you arrived." Luma walked around the machine, her hand touching the surface. "There's a message playing," she said, very faint. "It's in our ancient code, Ash." Tapped on a nearby console, a broken screen came to life, showing fragments of alien symbols mixed with human language. Luma translated slowly, her voice tense. "Signal activated unit 27 redirected, genetic key detected, confirm presence of subject 0. She stopped, eyes wide. Subject 0. That's a code for first contact species. Sarah looked at Ash, her expression cold. "What are you hiding?" Ash said nothing. He just stared at the screen, the blue light reflecting in his artificial eye. "I'm not hiding," he said. "I'm remembering." He sat down slowly, his hand resting on the floor like he was grounding himself. 20 years ago, humans lost the war above. He said, "We hid underground, rebuilt, changed. But something else found us. This machine, this signal." Sarah crouched near the device. "You mean this wasn't built by humans?" "No." Ash said, "It was waiting here, like a trap in time. The signal only activates when alien DNA is close. That's why it called Unit 27. Luma's eyes narrowed. "Then why are you helping us?" Ash looked up at her, tired but honest, "Because I remember what it was like to feel human." For a moment, silence returned. Only the soft hum of the machine filled the air. Then something strange happened. The room shook, just a little, barely. More than a heartbeat, but the lights flickered and the console screen changed. Access granted. A new message played. This time, clearer, older, a female voice, not human, not alien, something between. "If you are hearing this, the circle is not broken," it said. "The Guardians have failed. Unit 27 must be stopped before it reaches the cradle," Luma whispered. "The cradle, what does that mean?" Ash stood, breathing heavier now. "I think it means Earth is more than just a grave," he said. "It's a vault." Suddenly, the door behind them opened. An alarm beeped softly, red light blinking. Ash drew a weapon from his back, something between a gun and a blade. "Move," he said. "It's here." Footsteps echoed in the tunnel. Metal against metal. Slow and cruel. Unit 27 was close. Luma grabbed Sarah, helping her up. "Where do we go now?" Ash pointed to a tunnel behind the device that leads to the core. "The old human command room. If we can reach it, we might stop the signal. But what if it's another trap?" Sarah asked. Ash gave a faint smile. "Everything's a trap. The trick is choosing the one that buys time." They ran into the tunnel, the air growing thicker, louder with each step. Behind them, Unit 27 entered the chamber. Its eyes glowed red. Scanning the room, the machine looked at the screen, saw the symbols, and paused. It recognized the signal. And for the first time in centuries, it hesitated. Then it turned its head. Following the fresh scent of alien blood, the hunt continued. The tunnel twisted like a serpent under the earth. Ash led the way, light from his weapon guiding them through. The darkest boots made soft thuds on the metal floor. Sarah and Luma followed close behind, breathing hard, far behind them. The sound of Unit 27's footsteps echoed, slow but steady, like death with a schedule. The walls began to change. The deeper they went, the less it looked like human work. Strange carvings appeared, symbols that pulsed faintly. The walls weren't rusted here. They were alive with something ancient. Luma touched one of the carvings, her hand trembling. "This is pre-human tech," she whispered. "Older than any war. Older than us." Ash didn't turn. "That's where we're going." To the command room buried in the old world. Suddenly, the tunnel opened into a wide, circular chamber, broken machines lining the edges like fallen soldiers. Ash raised a hand to stop them. "Wait," he said, eyes narrowing. "We're not alone." The silence changed, a soft click, then another, echoing through the chamber like claws on stone. Then they saw them. 6 tall figures stepped out from the shadows. Wrapped in black armor with glowing eyes, their movements were stiff, unnatural. "The hunters," Ash said under his breath, "mutated. Ex-soldiers, once human, now just weapons." Sarah whispered. "Why are they here?" "They followed the signal too," Ash replied. "They don't serve humans or aliens anymore. Just programming and hunger." The lead hunter stepped forward, its voice broken like static. "Subject 0 detected." It rasped, "Eliminate Ash." Acted fast, firing a beam of blue light that tore through the hunter's shoulder. "Run," he shouted. The aliens and the humans sprinted toward the far end of the chamber. Ducking behind broken machines, blasts of red energy flew past their heads. Each missed shot cracked the floor. Luma slid behind a crate, breathing fast. "There's too many." Sarah pulled her close, her voice calm despite the chaos. "We fight smart, not strong." Ash threw a small device into the center of the chamber. A pulse exploded outward, silent but strong. The hunters froze, twitching violently, their systems confused. "That bought us 20 seconds. Ash said, "Go, now." They rushed through a side door, slamming it behind them. The corridor ahead was narrow, lined with glass tubes filled with dark liquid. Luma slowed, staring into one of them. Inside floated a half-formed creature, part human, part alien. Sarah looked around, shocked. "What is this place?" Ash didn't answer immediately. His voice was cold when he spoke. This was a lab before the end. They tried to merge species, build something stronger, something that could survive any war. Luma looked sick. "Did it work?" Ash gave a hollow laugh. "You just met the results." Suddenly, a noise crackled through a broken speaker. A voice, old and distant, played from a recording system. "Project Genesis failed," it said. "Subjects became unstable, aggressive. Termination recommended." Sarah turned to Ash. "How do you know all this?" Ash looked her in the eyes, and for a moment the soldier mask slipped. "Because I was born here," he said. "Inside this lab, I was one of them." Luma stepped back. "You're one of the hunters?" "No," he said. "I escaped before they finished the changes. I stayed human, mostly, before they could respond." The wall behind them cracked open. One of the hunters had broken through, its body smoking, eyes burning. Red, it charged, roaring, metal claws slashing. Ash stepped forward without fear, pushing the others back. "Go. I'll hold it off." Sarah grabbed his arm. "We don't leave anyone," but Ash pulled free. "This is why I stayed behind, to stop things like this." He turned and attacked the hunter, their weapons clashing like thunder in the hall. Luma and Sarah ran, the sounds of battle echoing behind them. They didn't look back. Ahead, a door opened on its own, light pouring out like dawn. They stepped into a round room filled with glowing symbols. A console stood in the center, untouched. By time, Sarah approached it, her hand hovering over the surface. "It's not human tech," she said. "It's waiting for someone to unlock it." Luma looked back at the door, worry in her eyes. "Do you think he'll survive?" Sarah didn't answer. Her hand touched the console. A wave of light filled the room. The machine coming to life. The signal changed, shifting in tone. Somewhere deep underground, Unit 27 paused, turning toward the pulse. The cradle had awakened. The cradle glowed like a sleeping star. Sarah stood in front of the ancient console, her fingers still resting on its smooth surface. Lines of light moved across the walls, waking up symbols that hadn't breathed in centuries. Luma watched from behind, her face filled with awe and fear. "This place," she whispered. "It's not just a command room, it's alive." The machine spoke again. The voice soft and strange, not male or female. "Welcome, genetic key confirmed. Access granted to Subject 0. Sarah stepped back. "I'm not Subject 0. But the console didn't care. It was already unlocking something. Then, a sudden loud crash echoed through the hallway behind them. Luma turned sharply. Was that Ash? Sarah narrowed her eyes, or something worse. They waited, breaths held, weapons ready. And then Ash appeared in the doorway. His face bruised, his armor scratched, but he was walking, alive. "The hunter's dead," he said, breathing heavily. "Barely." Luma smiled in relief. "You made it." Ash gave a tired nod, stepping closer. "What did the console say?" Sarah hesitated, watching him closely. Something about him felt different, it said. "The cradle is unlocking, and it thinks I'm Subject 0. Ash's eyes flickered not with fear, but with curiosity. "Then maybe that's why it called Unit 27, he said. "To destroy you before you could activate." "This place," Luma moved toward him. "You don't seem surprised." "I've seen enough strange things to stop being surprised," Ash said with a dry tone. He walked over to the console, examining it closely. "Strange," he muttered. "These markings are part of my old unit's language." Sarah frowned. "You said this wasn't human." Ash paused, then answered slowly. "Maybe. Maybe it was shared. Maybe someone on Earth helped build it." Luma touched a glowing panel, and an old hologram appeared. It showed humans and aliens standing side by side, building something massive. "This was before the war," she said. "A secret project, something both sides wanted." Then the image shifted. A sudden explosion, screams, weapons firing. The team turned on each other. Blood painting the walls. The recording ended with a single word flashing. Over and over, Betrayal Sora's voice was low. They never finished. The war destroyed everything. Ash stepped back, something changing in his posture. "I remember this," he said. "I was a child, hiding in one of the tunnels. I saw them die." His face darkened. "My father was one of the humans who helped design the cradle. He believed it could end all wars." Luma's eyes widened. "You're part of this?" Ash looked down, guilt in his voice. "I didn't know until now. I thought I was just a survivor." Before Sarah could respond, a high-pitched beep echoed from the console. "Warning, location breached." They turned sharply. Weapons ready, but no one entered the room. Then the lights flickered, and a shadow moved behind them from the wall. A hidden door opened, and standing there was another human. Dressed in black armor, face hidden behind a dark visor. Ash raised his weapon, shocked. "Commander Vale," he said, voice shaking. The figure stepped forward, removing his helmet. His face was older, colder. "I told you not to come back here," Vale said. "Now look what you've done." Sarah stepped between them. "Who is he?" Ash's voice was quiet. "My old commander. He led the last mission down here. Everyone thought he was dead." Vale's eyes scanned the room, landing on Sarah and Luma. "You brought aliens to the cradle," he said. "You've doomed us all." Ash stepped forward. "They activated it. The system accepted them. We can stop Unit 27. Vale shook his head slowly. "No, Ash, you don't understand. The cradle doesn't stop wars. It stores them." Luma stepped back. "What do you mean?" Vale raised a small device, tapping it. A new hologram appeared, this time showing thousands of figures inside pods, human and alien both, frozen in time. "This place is a vault," Vale said. "A prison. Everyone who could end the war was locked away in here so the fighting would never stop." Sarah's eyes filled with horror. "That's why it called us. It thinks we're prisoners escaping." Ash's voice broke. "You knew. And you let it all burn." Vale pointed his weapon, "Because peace is worse than control. You think the wars were bad? Peace would have given them power." "Real power," Sarah whispered. "You betrayed your own people." "I saved them," Vale said. "Now move aside." But Ash didn't move. Instead, he raised his weapon and aimed it at his old commander. "I'm done following you," he said. "You want to stop peace? You'll have to go through me." And just like that, the cradle's lights changed to red. New systems activated. Unseen doors began to open. The past wasn't buried anymore. It was waking up. Asterisk, the red lights pulsed like a heartbeat. Alarms echoed through the cradle, low and deep, like the warning growl of something waking from a long sleep. Ash kept his weapon raised, hands steady, eyes locked on Commander Vale. Vale smiled coldly. "You won't shoot me? You're still the same scared soldier I trained." Ash didn't blink. "No, I'm the man who finally opened his eyes." Behind them, Sarah and Luma stood frozen, caught between the two humans and a system they no longer understood. The cradle's voice returned. Now louder, sharper. "Warning. Security protocols engaged." Vault access breached. Vale stepped back, pressing a small button on his gauntlet. The floor beneath them began to shift, metal plates sliding open, revealing a deeper level below, a giant vertical shaft with glowing pods lining the walls. Sarah stared down into the darkness. "There are thousands of them," she whispered. "People, locked in sleep," Luma added. "Not just people. Look, there are aliens too." Vale's voice rose above the alarms. "They were all dangerous, too powerful, too willing to change things. This was the only way. To keep control." Ash lowered his weapon slightly. "You locked away the best of us. Just so you could keep the war going," Vale sneered. "War makes people obedient. Peace makes them brave. I chose obedience." Suddenly, the cradle's voice changed again. Signal broadcast expanding. UNIT 27 redirecting coordinates, estimated. Arrival for Miniaturosaur's eyes went wide. "It's coming here." Luma looked around the room, panic rising. "If we don't shut this place down, it'll kill everything again." Ash turned to Sarah. "Can you override the console?" "I don't know," she said. "It thinks I'm Subject 0. Maybe it'll listen, but we need time." Vale aimed his weapon at the console. "You're not shutting anything down. This cradle is staying sealed. Forever." Before he could fire, Ash lunged forward, knocking the gun aside. The shot hit the wall, sparks flying. They fought hand to hand, brutal and fast. Sarah ran to the console while Luma helped her up. "Just touch it," Luma said. "Let it read you again." Sarah placed her hand on the glowing surface. Her blood smeared across the panel, and the system responded immediately. Genetic confirmation complete. Emergency access unlocked. Choose protocol. A screen appeared with 3 glowing options. Wake ALL purge system, evacuate CO. Luma pointed. "Evacuate. That's our only chance." Sarah hesitated. "If we purge the system, the war ends forever, but everyone inside dies," Ash shouted from the other side of the room, wrestling with Vale. "Do it. Get out. Now." Sarah slammed her hand on the third option, evacuate COR. The ground rumbled, and new doors opened in the walls, escape pods, round and rusted, but still powered, lit up like stars. Vale shoved Ash aside and stood, bloody but grinning. "You think running solves anything? The system will rebuild. It always does. Ash picked up Vale's own weapon and aimed it at the power grid above. "Not this time," he said, and fired. Electricity exploded from the ceiling, systems sparking, alarms dying. Sarah and Luma grabbed Ash and dragged him toward the nearest pod. The cradle's voice spoke one last time. Weak and flickering, core unstable, countdown initiated 60 seconds. They reached the pod. Sarah turned back. Vale stood alone, staring at the sleeping vault. Below? He didn't move, didn't run. "I'll die a guardian," he said, "not a coward." The door shut, cutting off the rest. Inside the pod, the walls trembled as the launch began. Ash sat back, blood on his face. Where does this go? Luma looked at the console, reading the ancient code. "Surface, maybe," she said. "Or somewhere we've never been." The pod launched like a bullet. Rock and dust chasing them through the tunnel. Everything behind them collapsed into red. Light and dust. Then silence. For a moment, nothing but cold and dark. Then a faint sound. Wind, light, cracking through. The pod burst through a layer of ground and into open air, blue sky, broken clouds. And far in the distance, ruins of cities and life trying to grow again. They had made it out. Sarah looked back through the small window, smoke rising behind them. "Do you think it's really over?" Ash didn't answer. He looked at the sunlight like he hadn't seen it in years. And quietly, he said, "No, but we finally have a chance." The pod's door opened with a hiss. Cold air rushed in, carrying the scent of ash, old metal, and distant rain. Ash stepped out first, blinking against the pale light. The sky was gray, not dead, just tired. Clouds moved slowly above the broken land. Sarah followed, her feet touching the surface of Earth for the first time. Not underground, not in shadow. Luma stepped out last, looking around with silent wonder. "It's quiet," she said. Ash nodded. Too quiet. They had landed in the remains of a city. Ruined towers leaning like old bones. Plants had begun to grow in the cracks. Nature trying to take back what was lost. Sarah walked to a half-buried road sign, the letters worn out by time. "This used to be a place full of life," she said. "People, sound, motion." Ash looked up at a ruined bridge. Now it's a grave with open eyes. They moved carefully through the city, searching for shelter, water, anything that still worked. But something felt wrong. Not dangerous, but unfinished whispers. Not real ones, not voices, but memories, echoing in metal, in cracked glass, in the hum of old machines under the surface. Luma placed a hand on a broken car, then quickly pulled back. "I heard something," she said, like crying. Sarah touched a wall, and her eyes widened. "These ruins remember," she said. "The cradle isn't gone. It changed." Ash looked at them both. "You're saying this city is alive?" "Not alive," Sarah said. "Just awake." They found an old building still standing, its roof broken, but walls intact. Inside, they built a small fire using scraps of wood and wire. Ash sat against a metal pillar, wrapping a cloth around his arm. "We should leave Earth," he said quietly. "Find a ship, warn others. Destroy what's left of the cradle." Luma stared into the flames. And what if the cradle was never meant to destroy? Ash raised an eyebrow. It locked thousands of people in cages. Sarah looked toward the dark sky. Or maybe it saved them. Maybe the war would have wiped them out, and the cradle kept them frozen, waiting for the right moment. Ash's voice was sharp. "So we decide who gets to wake up, who stays buried." Silence fell between them. Then, a sound, soft footsteps outside, slow, dragging. Ash grabbed his weapon, standing silently. But when the figures stepped into the firelight, none of them moved. It was a young girl, human, wearing rags, dirt on her face, eyes wide with fear. She said nothing, just stared at them like they were ghosts. Luma knelt down, voice gentle. "It's okay. "We're not here to hurt you." Behind the girl, more figures appeared. Adults, children, alien hybrids, all wearing worn clothes, all staring in silence. Dozens of them, maybe more. Ash lowered his weapon slowly, eyes filled with disbelief. "They survived," he said. "Out here, all this time," one of the older survivors stepped forward, a tall man with a faded symbol on his arm. "You came from the cradle?" he asked. Sarah nodded. It collapsed, but something bigger woke up. The man's eyes darkened. "We felt it," he said. "Machines moving in the ground. Lights in the sky at night, whispers in the rust." Luma stepped forward. "The cradle called us Subject Zero, but we're not special, we're just awake." The man looked at the people behind him, then back at them. "Maybe that's all it takes now," he said, being awake and choosing something better. They stayed the night with the survivors, sharing food, stories, fears for the first time. There was no command, no orders, just people trying to start again in the early morning. Ash stood on the rooftop, watching the sunrise through cracked buildings. Sarah joined him, her eyes soft. "You still think peace is a lie?" she asked. Ash didn't answer right away. He looked at the horizon, where something faint glowed in the sky. Maybe another cradle? Maybe something else. "I think peace is hard," he said. "But now we have a reason to try." Behind them, Luma laughed with the children, teaching them old songs in a forgotten alien language. The rust whispered again, but this time it didn't sound like pain. It sounded like a beginning. And in the silence that followed, Sarah whispered, "Maybe this planet still has a heart." Ash closed his eyes and said quietly, "It still is my home."